Hey guys, I sure come out today in Raid Shadow Lazies with another champion guide today. Oh, one of my favorite epics out there in the game. It is Sacred Order Spirit Affinity Champion Fenax. So, Jean says, hey Ash, can you do a guide on Fenax, please? I'm not doing much with him right now, but I know he's good. Indeed, he is good. Got Fenax, don't know how to build him. Could you please do a guide on him? Says Ghostly Scrub. And then we have Mara says, can we get a Fenax guide? Absolutely we can. Let's go ahead and take a look at him. So Sacred Order epic, guys. No lore, unfortunately, on Fenax, but he looks, I mean, he's a man's man. Let's put it that way, dude. He's got the salt and pepper kind of going on over here in the beard. He's a beast, right? He's a beast of a champion. Kind of a little bit nondescript, I would say. Attack-based champion. His base attack, 1454. Nothing to really write home about, but not too bad. His base defense is pretty low at 925, and his HP is also pretty low at 13,000, almost 14K. On his A1, put down. Attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target has any debuffs. Enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived. So we have a block revive on the A1. More on that in just a moment. On the A2, Stern Partner attacks all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown when booked. Has an 80% chance when booked of placing a block buff for 2 turns. Places a block active skills debuff for 1 turn if the skill does not place block buffs. So because it's only a 75 or an 80% chance of placing block buffs on the A2, which obviously does require accuracy on this champion, if you don't get that, right? So if you're not placing the block buffs, you get a guaranteed or at least 100% chance of placing a block active skills instead for 1 turn, which is really, really powerful and really nice to have. It makes him not the most dependable block buffs champion. So if we're talking about the downside, upside, a lot of damage, block buffs, or block active skills. Downside, 4-turn cooldown, and with an 80% chance, he's not a dependable enough block buffs debuffer for me to advise running him or building him specifically for Hydra Clan Boss. However, if you're in the early game or the mid game and you're really lacking these champions, you don't have any Umbral Enchantresses or more dependable Archmage helmets, or Archbishop Pinthroys on your account, somebody with block buffs, then yeah, of course, you might be looking for a champion like Fenax to fill that role, or maybe to kind of dual fill the role alongside somebody else on your team, like maybe an Ugo, right? On the A3, Soul Feebleness attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of placing a decreased defense and a decreased speed for 2 turns. Now, the upside is these are 2 fantastic boss debuffs. It's single target, so, you know, I shouldn't say it's only going to work, it's going to work against anybody, but it's especially great for bosses because decreased speed and decreased defense are, again, 2 of the most powerful things you can find there. Of course, again, does require accuracy on this champion to land these. The downside is, well, it's a 4-turn cooldown, and it's only a 60% chance of placing them, right? It's not a 100% chance. I would love to see a buff on this champion and make them 100% land rate on Soul Feebleness, but even without that buff, even with all these kind of squishy stats that he's got, he is noteworthy and very special. Let's take a look at the multipliers on his A1 right now. Well, you guys can see it right there. A 4.1 godlike rating plus the chance of an extra hit if that target has any debuffs. That is insane. That's a lot of damage. There's no A1s in the game like this. None. No deny revival with these kind of multipliers, even including every legendary inside the entire game. Step aside in a 3 Blood Twin, enter Fenax, right? So very, very, very good A1. Take away the block revival off the A1. It's still great, especially on ally attack teams. So I use him for the Griffin or for any Doom Tower boss, or any boss for that matter, that I'm using an ally attack champion. Think about Fenax on your team because you're getting so much damage off of that ally attack. Same thing goes with counterattack, right? With the Skull Crushers or with Valkyries or with Martyrs in the game. But allies, so this should be kind of a flag for you guys, right? Any team that you're running any ally attacker, consider Fenax because of how powerful that A1 is. Furthermore, in the arena, if you're lucky enough to have like a Necret the Great being the best example, but even a Farrakhan the Fat champion like that, another strong PvP ally attacker and PvE, consider Fenax on that team. It's a lot of value out of that A1 being used additional times throughout the battle. On his Stern partner A2, it's a 3.5 damage multiplier, a strong rating, and a 6.7 godlike rating on that A3. Those are big, big, big boy multipliers. This is a legendary-esque multiplier on this A3. So we're seeing very special damage on this champion. Now, I'm going to pull up a very unorthodox build, but the thing I love most about this channel, or at least it's up there, is showing you things that are a little bit outside the box, giving you guys some ideas on how to get some utility out of artifact sets you might have, you know, some good gear kind of lying around, but there's no champion to really use them on. So I'm going to show you my build, and then I'm going to tell you the more traditional build as well, right? So here we go. Fenax, where are you, my man? Here he is. You can see what is, so half of you guys might be like, what is that? What kind of gear is that? I never used that. It's avenging. We have a 45% chance to counterattack when hit with a critical hit. Keep in mind that against PvE content, it's not going to be very good. We'd much rather have retaliation, which is a 35% chance to counterattack when hit. But avenging is predicated only on critical hits. Why do I love Fenax in an avenging set? In the arena. In the arena, think about what champion is always landing critical hits on our team, right? It's the nuker, right? Their squishiest champion, their nuker. It's not going to be, in most cases, their reviver or anything like that, right? So if we want to neutralize the enemy team, let's pretend that we're going against, I don't know, let's pretend that we're going against a Siphi and a Rhodos and a Duchess and a Mighty Uko. Let's just throw in all these OP champions, 3 revivers on the team in a Rhodos, right? Well, we put a debuff on Rhodos, we get 2 hits, easily able to kill him, and even though they have 3 champions, even though they have 3, you know, provided, I guess Rhodos maybe a bad example because of the weak hit potential, but you guys get the point, right? Let's say it's Candrafon, right? Pick your nuker, right? Whoever it is. He's going to go in there, right? And he is going to double hit potentially or single hit. He's going to kill them. And then with all those revivers on the team, the nuker's dead to start the match. It's already game over. They can't do any damage to you. They only have revivers left. So really this applies to even teams with 2 nukers or an AoE nuker, right? Anybody coming in with big nukes, as long as we can keep him alive or revive him if he dies, we're going to get that deny revival off the counterattack from the avenging set. Now, if I already had him running with a counterattack champion, I probably wouldn't go with avenging. But the nice thing is going with avenging in the arena is fun, especially when paired with retribution, which is how we have him built, right? We have a 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP from any single enemy skill. So now we got more chance at counterattacking. This is really, really nice. The odds are, all we have to do is sit back and keep him alive, and just the counterattacking from the avenging and the retribution are going to do all the dirty work for us. It's really nice to get all our damage, our kills, and deny revivals off of Masteries and an artifact set alone. Now, with all that said, a more traditional build to see bigger numbers, more damage out of this incredibly hard-hitting champion is going to be, yes, classic Savage or lethal gear on this champion, right? Obviously, we're going to get the additional crit rate chance on lethal gear. It's a way to go if you have the good artifacts there. All the more reason to farm the Dark Fae. But Savage gear is going to be great on him as well. I would go Savage and crit damage. 1 Savage set, 4-piece, and 1 crit damage. Now, we don't have any Awakening on this champion, unfortunately. But if I had to go with a blessing, you guys can probably already guess. I'm a big fan of going with Cruelty. This is going to decrease target's defense by 4% per hit from this champion. Or you can go with Crushing Rend. So Crushing Rend, first hit of each round is going to ignore a percentage of the target's defense. Personally, I am a Crushing Rend guy. I always, on my epic damage dealers, not always, every champion's a little bit different, but more often than not, I'm going with Crushing Rend. If you're lucky enough to pull a 6-star blessing on really any damage dealer out there in the game, even legendary damage dealers, this is crazy, but I think that Crushing Rend is still a no-brainer in most scenarios. Isn't that crazy? That speaks of how good Crushing Rend is, because if you have it 6-star, every hit will ignore a percentage of the target's defense throughout the entire battle. We'll ignore 1% defense for every 10 levels. That's a lot of freaking extra ignored defense, right? Especially throughout the duration of the battle, and it applies to every single hit. It's very powerful. Just to wrap this point up, I think I mentioned this here on the channel before, but I'm going to mention it again. I got a 6-star Cupidus, a 6-star Awakening, Awakening. And I put him in Brimstone, and I'm like, there we go, 100% guaranteed smite. Yeah, buddy. Just thinking he would put out insane damage, and he did. However, just for the sake of it, just for S's and G's, I decided to put him in Crushing Rend instead, and he was getting consistently over 30% more damage in Hydra Clan Boss, switching from Brimstone to Crushing Rend. This only applies to the 6-star, though, in this case, because it applies to every hit. Otherwise, it's the first hit or the first 2 hits in each round. So that's really important, but I figured I'd flag that for you guys in case you're lucky enough to get a 6-star blessing on a nuker. Anyway, Masteries. Savage Gear. As we already talked about it, Savage and crit damage. Again, you're going to be seeing much bigger numbers. However, we do have on the Masteries here, we do have Helm Smasher, right? So we went down, we picked up Helm Smasher. We already talked about the defense tree and Retribution. There it is, guys. Nothing wrong with going with Ruthless Ambush and with Opportunist as well on this champion, especially if you're trying to utilize him on a go first team. You can also utilize him on a go first team because this nuke actually does pretty decent damage. You guys might be impressed considering the multipliers don't pop out there as like, wow, amazing, 3.5. It actually does pretty decent damage. So we have crit damage on the gauntlets, we have attack percentage on the chest, we have speed on the boots, and then again, looking for crit rate wherever we can find it, and a little bit of speed on this champion. I actually have him built pretty fast for a nuker, which is nice. I have accuracy on the banner, no worries. If you don't want to land, if you don't care so much about those debuffs, for example, if you're only using him for the arena as part of a Necred or a Farrakhan team or something like that, it's not as important to always be landing those debuffs, but it's really nice to have. And if you're not building him with accuracy in PvE, you're really leaving a significant part of the value this champion is bringing off the table. So I like to try to build him with some accuracy, even if that means sacrificing some attack on that banner. We have crit damage on the amulet, and looking for that nice, sweet trip accuracy roll there. And then we have attack on the ring. One final note before we jump into the arena and Doom Tower with this champion is total stats here. You can see he's pretty squishy. 2,500 on the defense is fine, but 30k on the HP is very low. So you may have to go with HP percentage or just some more survivability, maybe even HP on the ring instead of attack on the ring if you find that your Fenax is dying, okay? A dead nuker is never, never a good nuker. All right, put that up on a poster board somewhere, man. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some matches here, right? I'm going to start out easier, and then we'll build our way up. So we have him on this kind of like hybrid go first, go second team. Yeah, I guess it will work. I haven't tried the team out yet, but I'm looking at it. I wanted to, what I was looking at there, the reason I paused is I wanted to ensure that we had enough chance of landing debuffs. Because again, it's really, there's the counterattack right there. Unfortunately, it's against Leo, right? But we're going to come in here and just cleanse everybody with the A3. We have Mithrala on the team. We have Mighty Uko and Vogoth. So we have a Reviver as well. Yeah, I was scanning to make sure that we had somebody who's going to bring debuffs because it's really important to have debuffs. He can be on a go second team, but you need debuffs on the enemy team to get that double hit out of the, and we would have got one there, but he died out of Fenax. So we can go ahead and revive him and not the end of the world here. Pretty easy to keep this team alive, and we have the Provoker and Vogoth as well. Vogoth is built very, very slow, and he is built in a bolster set to have that shield, right? So we get revived, and we have block damage to ensure that we actually get a turn. We're going to see the AoE, we're going to see the AoE on the A2 first. So here comes Mighty Uko, and you'll notice plenty of debuffs, so I could show off his A1. I could come in here if I wanted to and deny revival on Lysandra, and, you know, the revivers would not be able to pick her up. But we're just going to come in with the A2 and see what we can do with that steel partner. Again, we're landing, you know, block buffs. In this case, I think we landed a block active skills momentarily. Either way, we come right back in and... looking pretty easy. I really want to get those counterattacks because that was the whole point here, but the nuker's already dead. Let's go ahead and utilize that A3 to see how much damage we do here. 32,000, nothing too crazy. Again, if you want to see more damage out of this champion, certainly go ahead and take that Savage Gear. Put that Savage Gear on him. You'll see endgame Fenax builds. He's used sporadically inside top 100 live arena right now, which is where you see the most competitive teams in the game. And those type of builds are pretty much totally punting all accuracy, punting all of his speed in most scenarios, putting him with a Nekret the Great. That way, it's predicated on just ally attacking for most of his damage and his deny revivals off the A1. You're going to see attack percentage on his boots, and you're going to see just all-out attack and crit damage. We have around 220 crit damage. We're going to be seeing Savage Gear, Lethal Gear, Helm Smasher with around 300 to 350 plus crit damage. So it's quite a bit different for end-to-end game, but I figure it's worth a mention. Let's go against this team here. Another go first team. Hopefully we don't die, but we'll see. The idea, again, and that's why he's so incredibly powerful with a Nekret, is we need to keep this dude alive, right? Need to keep him alive. That way he can take a hit from the nuker, and then he will counterattack. So let's start seeing those counterattacks. We have the debuffs up. We're going to come in here. We're going to go. It's, you know what? We're going to cleanse at this point because I don't want decreased attack on Fenax, right? So what is Tomb Lord their nuker here? They're confused by this team. Anyway, Arbiter comes in. I'm wondering like who they even have built with 100% crit rate on this team. I'm assuming it's going to be Tomb Lord. But we get the counterattack, block revive, finally. I mean, it's funny. It was doing this... was messing around with this build, not in the same team, but like a while back, and we had some, it's just kind of RNG, right, when you hit record for one of these videos, but we had some really awesome sequences where my man was like, just absolutely wrecking, like everything was a counterattack like this, and he was denying block revive, block revive, block revive, and the thing is, especially in like longer battles, again, I'm talking like live arena, dude, you always have to account for this guy. I've seen people even ban him, you know, like banning an epic champion is pretty crazy. Here we go. This time they have a Lydia, so got to be careful. If we do lose Fenax, we can't revive him, which would be an issue. But let's go ahead and see what they do. They have Freeze, obviously, on their team as well. They come in here, and again, we get the counterattack, which is the good news. The bad news is we're not able to use it. He does die, so that's a bummer. Let's come in here and cleanse everybody, block our first revival, and wait for it to come off cooldown so we can let our man shine. Let me cut this out until he's back alive again, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, he's back alive, but the other team's not looking so good here. Let's see what we can do. All right, let's come in with the A2. Doing a little bit more damage. This is going to be a pretty easy cleanup. What I want to do, though, is after this one's not too interesting. After this battle, I will go ahead and show you him with Nekret the Great against some more challenging teams before we take him into Doom Tower. So not getting those juicy counterattacks that we were looking for, and he is under fear right now. But let's see if we get a turn here to end it. Nope. Dude, this is his big moment to shine, man. Come on, let the dude take a turn. All right. Instead, Mithrala's like, yeah, I'm taking over this spotlight right now. There's nothing you guys can do about it. All right. Lydia, get revenge against Lydia at least. Come on, go ahead and end it, Fenax. A3, boom, done. There we go. All right, one more battle with Nekret the Great. We're going to up the ante a little bit, and we're going to use the same team, but we're going to take out Vogoth and put in a heavy hitter in Nekret the Great. The reason I like still having Vogoth and Mithrala on the team or increased attack on Mithrala, setting him up with the increased attack is going to be super important, and I like having Mighty Uko, not Vogoth. I like having Mighty Uko because, again, removing buffs and placing debuffs, ergo the 2 hits on the A1. So we're going to open up with the Disturbing Infusion, not the A2, and here we go into battle. Going against a Nithwi Blood Twin, another Deny Reviver who has it on every single ability. We did a guide on a Nithwi, really endgame guide on a Nithwi recently here on the channel. So now we have a lot of protection on our man, which is great, right? Now he's not going to be dying to really anything. Hopefully Peril doesn't get him. That's the only thing we're worried about here. So we're going to come in with the A2 and see if we can land a few of those debuffs, and we do. That's great. So No Mercy comes in. They got Peril and No Mercy. So they've got a lot of Deny Revival going on right now. So let's go ahead and see if we can take out... We don't... Again, this is the beauty here. We don't need to take out the Reviver first because we have Block Revive on our A1. So let's go with their Nuker instead. He is under Ally Protect from Necrot the Great. Let's see if we can take him down here. Boom, boom. We took him down and we Block Revived. Of course, we got killed in the process as well. Peril proc. A lot of AoEs, kind of scary. Let's see who can finish this one off. You guys think that we can pull this off with no damage dealers left? I don't know. Stay tuned and find out. All right, guys, so it all came down to Mithrala versus Mortem Macabre, and we pulled it off in the end. Let me go ahead and show you. I'm so tempted to go, you know what, to go like one more battle because it's so fun. I wanted to give you guys a little bit more in terms of avenging counterattack procs and how awesome that can be, but hopefully you guys get the point. So you could really use this dude in so many different areas, but I believe it's Secret Room 1 here that is Epic Champions only. Was that the one that I was thinking of? Unfortunately, it's kind of new in this rotation, so I can't show you everything that I had wanted to. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I think that we have, Sacred Order Faction Wars are open right now. So let me show you stage 21 in this all-epic team with 1 rare in good old Aethel, right? So I'll come back to you. Well, let's watch the first wave, and then I'll come back to you guys when we get to the red boss. How's that sound? So, you guys will see, we're going in this with Inquisitor Shamil, who's another one of my absolute favorite nukers out there. This dude just deals tons of damage. We have Deacon Armstrong. We have Hope, who we don't really talk about that much on the channel, but she's a pretty cool champion. I was looking for a champion guide request on Hope. None. 0 of you have ever requested a guide on Hope, but I actually really like her. Anyway, guys, it's so cool to have block buffs against this wave, right? And we could have timed it better to ensure that we actually have the ability off cooldown, but against these stupid man-eaters, man, right? Man-eaters so annoying, and if he's able to get that unkillable down, thankfully it didn't happen here, it just adds so much unnecessary time to our runs, so it's really good to use him with that A2 against Valkyrie waves, because if you don't land the block buffs, at least you're mitigating the block active skills and preventing her from using that A2 and getting that shield and the annoying counterattack up, right? So really, really handy on that A2. I love the fact that if it's not going to be 100% block buffs, at least it's going to be bringing the block active skills. So here we go at the red boss. I said I was going to drop you guys, and I didn't. I'm still here. So we go in, we land the decreased speed and the decreased... I hate that they do that. I hate that... I mean, I can understand why we're targeting the minions first. I get it, right? But it'd be really way more valuable to land that So Feebleness on the red boss to place that decreased speed there instead of the minion. So really nice with the block revive, and you guys are already getting the sense of all the different areas we can use this champion because of that block revive. Just to name one obvious area, Ice Golem. We can get rid of those minions, and then they'll never come back again, and then we won't have to worry about the Ice Golem Cliosis? Ignoring all of our defense, right? So now finally we do have everything or all the both the minions down. We can go in here and just start DPSing down the boss. Aethel's still holding on to her life. I love that Aethel, man, has that big version of Weaken on the A1. There's that A3, 62k damage, but we didn't land the decreased speed for what, actually, I was going to say for whatever reason. I know why, because it's only a 60% chance of landing. That's such a shame. Anyway, a big double hitter on that A1. Again, think about an ally attack champion on this team with these champions. Obviously, not, what is it? Is there Lady Atessa? I'm trying to think of any ally attackers in this faction. Either way, we get the job done. Then we block revive just to add a little insult to injury there on the red boss. So Fenax coming through with 805,000 damage, man. What a great DPS champion. And keep in mind, that's with a 4-turn cooldown on the AoE. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this guide on one of the coolest epic nukers, the most unique epic nukers out there in the game, Fenax. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, guys.